take risks. Vault Talks. Women say what they feel and mean what
A moment there.
I
think it was a really long
Leaving your power, so much power. Yeah. Vault Talks, where women share.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? It is Thursday somewhere in this world, right? Maybe Friday, maybe next year, maybe next week. Who knows? But you're catching us live or on the replay. It's Vault Talks Women Share. We're happy to be here. So we're going to dive in. First of all, thank you for those of you who may be new to our platform. There are so many things you guys can be doing, and you're here checking us out. For those of you who may not know what Vault Talks is, Vault Talks is indeed a platform where women can come together to learn more, to share more about matters that pertain to their world. It's on this platform where we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about sisterhood, fashion, relationships, and of course, ways to be empowered as women. So, ladies, what's going on with y'all? I feel like, last week we had some appearance issues, but not like appearance, y'all, like facial appearance issues, with just guests and things of that nature. We wanted to bring to you guys the solutions part of Church Unplugged. We're still going to do that, but we want it to be right. We just don't throw stuff out here. We want to make sure that we're giving you guys everything you need in reference to the topic. Church Unplugged, for those of you who may not know, was one of our hottest, and I do mean hottest, segments when we were on the radio. We just talked about a lot of things that people are scared to talk about when it comes to church, or they don't want to step on people's toes and whatever. People need to be saved, set free, delivered, healed. And we talk about real issues that go on with the church world, not only within the building of the church, but also us being the church. So we're coming back to you with the solutions on Come As You Are, because when I say people that I didn't even think tuned into the show were texting me like, yo, that show was hot. And I'm like, what? I didn't think you had time to watch the show. I'm like, I didn't think you were actually interested in what we doing over here in Vault Talks land. But they were, and they were very inspired by us, having the boldness to even have such a conversation, because it's one of those taboo conversations where people really aren't having when it comes to that whole tagline, Come As You Are. But anyways, we're going to say that for another day. What's up, Isha the influencer? What's going on, Shalia J? What's going on in y'all worlds? I want to hear. They want to hear. Everybody want to hear what's going on with y'all.
Oh, it's summertime. The kids are getting out of school, so it's hot down here in Mississippi. I don't know how the weather is in Chicago right now, but how is it, by the way?
Listen, I am in Omaha.
Snowing.
Listen, no, I am in Omaha this week, and
travel.
It's kind of chilly today. We've had some 80-degree days, 83, 84. I do know Chicago did have a couple of hot days. So it's definitely summertime. It don't feel like it yet, for real though. To me, it won't feel like summertime in Chicago until I can actually walk around without a mask. How about that? Here in Omaha, they lifted the mask restriction, so you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And so I walked into a restaurant yesterday, and people were looking at me like I'm crazy because I have a face shield. Skip the mask. I miss wearing my lip gloss. Okay. I miss wearing my expensive MAC lipstick that I got in my purse that if I leave it in the car too long, it's going to melt away, okay? Mm-hmm. So I wear my face shield. I'm like, skip the mask. And the lady I was with, she's like, they just changed the restrictions here at Omaha. I'm like, I didn't know, So I definitely in Chicago, I know that they ain't lifting that anytime soon. They're talking about opening Chicago back up fully in July. I know Lollapalooza is on the calendar, so that's huge. Taste of Chicago is on the calendar. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm just praying people, get their vaccinations or just do what they need to do, whatever they believe in. to be safe out here in these COVID streets. So
yeah, definitely. I just came back from San Antonio, and they're not really strict on the mask either. So, but yeah, we're just ready for the summertime. I just actually just came from fishing, so we out here having fun.
whatever.
Fishing since I was a girl. It's been a
Listen,
long time since I gone
Look, that was my
since
first
I gone
time.
fishing, but
that was your first time?
it's really
Yeah,
it's peaceful now out on the
it's
water. It should be hot,
nice.
but it's peaceful.
It
It's
is
definitely
very
peaceful. It's hot up here. It's hot in DC. I know here. My kids are about to get out of school as well, and we've decided not to put them in extended work care, but have them home. So this is going to be interesting. And as far as the mask goes, I've been vaccinated, but I still wear my mask as well. It may, as you know, I have children who can't get vaccinated. One of them is in the high risk category. So, you know, if I catch COVID, even being vaccinated and pass it on to her, it could be deadly for her. So I keep my mask on still.
Yeah, that's important. Um, it's just interesting to see what the summer is really going to be like in a lot of places. Like I said, I know a lot of places have already lifted the restrictions, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Chicago summer we have. I'm just praying that people are safe. That's the biggest thing. I would hate for us to come out of this COVID sabbatical and people out here doing the same little stuff they were doing, prior to COVID. So, but that's that. We're going to talk about something really cool tonight. If anyone doesn't know, May has been dedicated as the month of mental health awareness. And I was in a clubhouse room the other day. If anybody of y'all don't know, I'm a clubhouse junkie. Um, I've learned to gain a lot of value from being connected to people in Clubhouse. And we were talking about mental health, but we were talking about it from the standpoint of mental health and money. And it really blew my mind. Sometimes we don't think to put the two together. And it was a really great conversation. And like I said, we were going to have the segue of Church Unplugged, but then got dropped in my spirit to talk about self-love and mental health. And what does that really look like? How do the two tie together? I think sometimes that we talk about self-love, but we really don't realize how the two really mesh as one. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, ladies. Shalia, what's going on in your world? I heard a little bit of what's going on in Isha's world. Then I'll chime in here, and then we're going to go ahead and the next voice you'll hear after mine, and Shalia will be the one and only Isha the influencer, bringing us the quote of the evening.
Yeah, no, I touched on it a little bit, just, trying to prepare my mind and my household for getting these kids ready for summer. They're ready for summer. I ain't ready yet. Still pressed on that area, trying to keep cool because here in DC area, summers do get hot. Sometimes I feel like I'm back at home in Louisiana with the heat sometimes, but yeah, that's what we're doing over here.
I love the kids. TT loves kids. But it's moments like this right here, listening to y'all talk about mommyhood and what y'all gonna do with your kids. Thank you. Hallelujah.
It's fun. I'm ready to have fun with them. They need a break. School has been rough for them, especially dealing with COVID. So I'm ready to enjoy the summer with mine. So.
Yeah, I can imagine, I'm happy to enjoy the summer period. Want to get back to having a normal summer, and I pray that's what we can do. In my world, it's been God has been really moving in interesting ways. That's probably the easiest way to say that. Just really blowing my mind with just people dropping messages or love nuggets or, Cash App alerts and, thinking of you, boom. And I'm like, what? It's just a different season. And I'm really excited for what God's doing. Even in the business, I had a call today with a lady. And one thing I do want to express is that sometimes our words are so powerful that we don't realize the power that they have to talk to somebody else where they're at. And I had the awesome honor and privilege on Monday night being a part of a sister circle in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the title was Sis, It's Time to Write That Book. And the women in the room were just in awe of understanding that you have the power to write your book. It's just about, are you ready to share your story? Are you in a place to share it? And so one of the things that I always coach my clients on, and it's one of the biggest stumbling blocks, is worrying about what other people have to say about your story. And I share my story all the time. Like, my family was pissed at me when they read one of my books, which I never thought they would read, to be honest. And I tell everybody that. I'm like, I wasn't expecting for them to be like, oh, what she wrote on 87. Did you see that? And having conference calls or whatever, the way that they found out some things that they could only have found out in the book because I didn't share it with them. But, one thing I do is I coach my clients to own their truth. And that alone goes into what we're talking about tonight, just loving yourself and being able to love on yourself so much to where your mental health is in such a stable place because you're not allowing other people to come in and shift your mind on how you own your truth. And so, talking to her today, talked to her for about an hour. And, it's interesting how God really connects you with people, and you're just saying stuff and you don't realize that somebody is catching everything that you're saying and putting it in their own toolkit. And when she really said the things that I said and how it resonated with her, I was in tears. She's in tears. I'm crying. She's crying. So I just want to share that as sisters, as women. Our words are super powerful and they have the power to heal, sis. So be very intentional with how you're treating your sister, whether it's your blood sister or just women in the marketplace, wherever you're at, because you don't know how powerful your words are to speak into their lives when they need to hear it the most. And after I got done with talking to her today, I just laid and I was in awe. I went to sleep because I think I was just mentally full on just the exchange that took place. This person didn't know me from Adam, but she was connected to somebody else who was like, come to the meeting. And she got what we needed and she got what she needed. And so just understanding the power of your connections is also a form of self-love and a way to really heal your own mind. So that's all I got.
For now.
For now, we're going to put a pin in it right there. But we're going to go and we want to hear what each of the influencer has to say. And I know that she has a word. And the reason why I know she got a word is I ain't talked to her one-on-one in a minute. So normally when I don't talk to her one-on-one in a minute, that means something's going on and she getting full. So I love that. You got to know who you're in a relationship with. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But the power of knowing your relationships and knowing that you don't have to have a pin on them all the time to know that there's still a heartbeat within your relationship. But amen. I'm ready when you are, girl.
So I've just been taking it day by day. There has been a lot going on, but everything is aligned. And like you said, I'm just full with everything that has taken place. But tonight we are talking about self-love, and everybody who knows me knows that I preach this all the time. Like, it is very necessary, I feel, for success. So tonight's quote is, love, at the root of everything beautiful is love. At the root of everything beautiful is love. And I came up with that quote because to me, it's true, especially when we're talking about self-love. You have to learn to love yourself in order to produce anything beautiful, whether it be yourself, whether it be your work or project or whatever. You have to take that time and that effort necessary to pour into yourself the things that you want and the things that you need in order to produce it in such a way that, you know, it is beautiful, it is perfect, it is something that represents who you are, versus you being in a state, you know, that you're not yourself, you're depressed, you know, you have anxiety, you're going through all these things. A lot of times people don't look like what they go through, but sometimes we do. And it shows. So if we're not loving ourselves, if we're not taking care of ourselves, it definitely shows. So, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but what does depression looks like? It may look like, you know, people don't care, I'm not taking care of myself, but that's not what it is. It puts on a different face, but it's actually something else. I'm gonna let you ladies chime in on the quote. See what you think.
There's so many angles where you can take this. In my identity blueprint, for those of you who don't know what that is, hold on. Identity Blueprint is a book that I came up with last year before
Right.
last year. I don't remember. The pandemic feels like we skipped a year. But it's called Identity Blueprint: Keys to Unlocking Your True Self. You better have the book, Shalia.
Right there, I have mine too.
And one of the things that got allowed there is being an important key is knowing how to get to the root. And so there's nutrients at the root. And what I'm reminded of, especially in the South, have you ever seen a storm come through, knock a tree down, and the tree is knocked down and the roots are literally still attached to the tree, and you can see like how thick they are and how they spread out? Our roots are thick, y'all. Our roots are our DNA. Our roots are who we are. And so when you can get down to the root of the thing, it is beautiful. It takes work to get there. But when you can replant yourself on strong foundation and understand that the seeds from the nutrients are powerful to rebuild you, then you can see things differently. You will cherish things differently. And a lot of times you don't want to do that hard work to even get to the root of the thing because of the pain and the agony and the disappointment and the rejection and the abandonment that we have to be, has to be relived in order for us to get down to that root. But when you spring it back up, it's super powerful because it's a beautiful thing. And when you can really understand knowing you and loving you, even down to your root system, you're mastering something really important.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll allow you to master other things as well.
Yeah.
As long as you're not in that space, you're holding yourself back from achieving a whole lot in life.
Right. Shalia, go ahead. Ms. SJ.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that, I was just going to add that, getting important. And, see with my journey, me will always kind of see me as this confident person that, shows up and isn't afraid to kind of just, walk through life and be bold and be unapologetically me. But there was a time in my life and where that was difficult. I presented an image that was me, but internally I dealt with that root. What I found that when I actually dealt with the root of it, you show up different in the world. You show up different. You feel different. You show up different. And being able to walk in a space where you first, before you can truly or have someone, love you. If you don't love you, how can someone else love you the way that you need to be loved? And so when you learn how to love you, you just show up different in the world. Those around you understand what that is, and the way that you see the world and the view of the world is completely different when you are clear on self-love and you're not afraid to be unapologetically you. So it is extremely important that we get to, as you said, to the root of that and deal with that initial hurt and heal from it. Because if you're masking the hurt, there's a difference between surviving and thriving.
Mhm.
And if you truly want to show up in the world and truly live a life of joy, you got to learn how to thrive past the thing.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. And with that, I think this is a perfect way to segue into tonight's topic. Just self-love and mental health. And one of the things that we don't put enough emphasis on is how to love ourselves. As women, we play so many roles. We wear them well for the most part, but we still neglect self, even though your mom, your sister, your daughter, your girlfriend, you're the fiance, the wife, the CEO, the entrepreneur, all these things. But where do you learn how to master self? Where do you learn how to, how do I love myself? We're taught love your neighbor, treat other people fairly, do unto others as they do unto you, that golden rule. But we're not taught the elements of that golden rule. If we were really taught the elements of the golden rule, we would know what self-love was at a very early age, and we're not taught that. We're taught how to love family, the dynamic of family. Some of us are, some of us aren't, taught that. But I know for a lot of people that I talk to, self-love is something that is taught way after the fact. It may have, after the abusive relationship, then they learn self-love, or after understanding that daddy wasn't around and you allowed yourself to be in these crazy predicaments, now you go back to finding out what self-love is. So to me, self-love is not introduced early enough within our makeup for us to really hold on to it as something deemed important, especially when you look at statistics and they show that most of our capacity to learn new concepts starts when we're children. And if you look at some of the greats, athletes or whoever, that have mastered a skill, they've been doing this since they were kids. If we were taught self-love, instead of, if somebody comes up to you and they hit you, you hit them back, I know y'all were taught that. I know it's not just me. We were taught those things.
Listen, I just had that conversation today with my daughter. So.
If we were introduced to self-love concepts early on, I believe we wouldn't struggle with it later on in life. So let's talk about self-love and mental health. And one of the things, and I don't remember who said it, I think it was you, SJ, that was talking about the mask. Let's dialogue around with that. Let's play around with that for a little bit. As women, how we are very comfortable with putting on the mask and taking off the mask when need be, instead of actually being our true authentic selves. And let's dive around with that a little bit. So if you want to expound on the whole element of the mask, that'd be a great place to start.
Yeah, so we as women tend to feel like we got to be the strength for everyone else. So as you get taught really early or nurtured very early, we have we're strong for our kids, we're strong for our family, we kind of take care of everyone. And I can speak to my journey, and as far as my journey goes, a lot of times I felt as if I could not, for the benefit of those around me, I could not show the pain, the pain that I was dealing with. But the reality of the mask that we want is that on some level, those around us, those closest to us, for instance, children, really close relatives, they can see the mask, they can see behind the mask, they just can't see the depths of it. But we tend to wear this mask feeling like we put on a particular face in order to, strong around us, and we get to the taking care of ourselves. And it's just extremely important that we understand also in taking off the mask. You got to learn how to take off the mask and actually walk in your truth, become comfortable in your truth, because in the truth is freedom. And once you learn to become comfortable in the truth, to you, those that matter, it doesn't change that relationship. Taking off will, though, cause you to have to look at the relationships that you're in and determine whether or not those relationships are relationships that you should be in. Sometimes people are in our lives for a season, and you got to recognize when it's time to let, toxic relationships go. And that mask allows those toxic relationships to continue on without you truly taking care of yourself. So it's extremely important that we own our truth, stand in our, and we
Can't hear you. That was a mouthful, especially when you talk about the mask part of things. And I was thinking on how the mask is so powerful that we get so comfortable wearing it that we forget that we have it on. The mask literally becomes part of our wardrobe on a daily basis. It's that, it's just, it's sad, but it's real. It's a very real place. And I can say that because when I've masked depression before, it hurt me to the core that I was even in a depressed state, but I was so embarrassed to let people know where I was and how I got to the place. So I just wore the mask. And a lot of people around me had no clue that I was really going through what I was going through. And I think sometimes that's hurtful because, you wonder why people can't see you, and you're wondering, is the mask really that deep? I mean, am I really carrying on that well to where you really can't catch on that something's wrong? So all those things I go back and think about pretty often, just how I wish somebody would have saved me from me. I wish somebody would have pulled me out of my mess. And maybe it would have avoided me going down some.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And so okay with you being in your mess, because it allows them to be comfortable in whatever that space is with you that's unhealthy.
Yeah, and on the other end, I think people are kind of afraid to take it off, to be vulnerable, to let people know what's going on with them. And now that you say that, Takara, like, we all do it. We put masks on and we try to hide everything that we're going through, but it shows. And I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if other people see it, but I have the ability to see beyond what people present, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But sometimes it's like, we can see people's masks, right? But then it's like, well, why does no one see mine? And it's interesting because like for me, I can call my friends out. I don't have to see their mask, like literally physically see their mask. And those are my people who know me. I can call you and be like, what's wrong? Oh, nothing. No. God is dropping you in my spirit way too tough for me to believe that something ain't wrong. What's wrong? And then, I have a lot of people in my life that are like, oh, well, I don't want to talk to you because you're busy. Mm-mm. Stop using that word. Just because I'm on a mission doing the things that I do doesn't mean that I don't make time for people that I love and care about. I'm calling you right now. I'm going to need for you to come clean because I'm not feeling you for no reason. Like, I'm feeling you because there's something going on with you. And I know that, and so, I have a friend of mine, I can sniff her out. And she used to live in Florida. Now she lives in Wisconsin. And we don't have to talk every day, but when she keeps dropping in my spirit, and I'm like, what's the problem?
Yeah. And then a lot of people will still say, nothing. Why are you asking? And they try to hide it they can, but people are crying out to be heard, to be felt, to be seen.
Yeah.
Even when they're in these public places and putting on masks and they think they can't be seen. Like I had somebody, randomly open up to me this past weekend about dealing with depression. And, she felt like she was by herself and she was the only one. And, I told her like, hey, I've experienced it. I know other people who have experienced it. And it kind of, gave her a little bit of relief because she was, going to see a psychiatrist, taking medications, and I'm giving her everything that I know about, how I came through and how I came out of it. And it's crazy to me how people, we don't believe that diet has a lot to do with mental health. And the fact that we don't believe that a healthy diet can help, unblock those issues. It's just feels like, well, does that really work? And it's like, why is it hard to believe that eating healthily will benefit you? You know what I mean? That's the kind of society we live in, to where it's hard to believe something so simple because we're inundated with a lot of, eat this, fast food, all this extra, and then they're pushing the pharmaceuticals. And that's why, it's hard to believe for certain people. And when I broke it down to her like that, she was just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And we don't see it. Like, we're literally blind, and we are programmed to do exactly what it is that they want us to do and believe and think. And then we find ourselves in these places of depression, anxiety, and it's hard to get out. We're in bad relationships, and it's just, in a whirlwind, and we think we're by ourselves. And that's where I want people to realize is that you're not alone. Everybody you see, everybody you meet is dealing with something. Is going through something.
Exactly. And it's funny to me because a lot of times it'll be like, well, Takara, you got this going on, you got that going on. Woo-woo. I was like, have you ever thought that because I am living on purpose, that I do go through these things because it's not easy being who I am. It's not easy, doing different things that people would be like, oh, I can't do that. This, you have to, and I'm learning so much about just being me and learning like, it's no punk. You have to make the decision to take the good, the bad, the ugly, and continue to make something out of it, no matter how you feel. And I'm thankful that I have a tribe of people that I do feel comfortable saying, look, I was texting Isha about something that was going on last week, and I knew and I could tell she had something else going on herself, but she made time to even respond. So knowing the people that are in your life is a game changer in itself. And I think sometimes that a lot of people keep the mask on longer than they should because of the people that are around them, and knowing that they can't, say what needs to be said because of the judgmental person that they are, or the envious person that they are, or the person who doesn't really have their back and they know this, but yet they still want to keep them around because of ABC 1, 2, 3. And the person who really, wants to be them secretly, but not saying it. The person who, when they say, hey, guess what I have going on, is the first person like, why are you doing that? And so, I can't take my mask in front of you. I have to keep it on because you're probably one of the main reasons why I keep it on. So just understanding the power of your tribe, and I talk about that a lot, because it changed my life when I started making different decisions based on the people who were around me and pouring into me. Sometimes being the smartest person in the room is not a privilege.
Mm-mm. No, it's a burden sometimes, and it's not, the space and the environment and the responsibility that you want to have, but you want somebody you can learn from, who can
Right.
teach you things and that you can pour into. It has to be, a two-way street when it comes to that. It's not fun being the smartest person in the room, because that gives you more responsibility and a lot of frustration, and it's hard. So it's good to be around people who can pour into you.
Absolutely.
Vice versa. But with a lot of that, we deal with a lot of
And
expectation.
I just want to go back to.
You're good, Shalia. Come on.
Yeah, I just want to go back to Isha. When you spoke and said that, you can see, when they're see past people's masks. Like the three of us, I believe the three of us all can do that. But at the root of that, going back to your quote, is your genuine love for people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like if you genuinely care and love someone, and you have their best interest at heart, you can see those things. You are past the initial of what they, what they're saying and what they're telling you, because you genuinely have their best interest at heart and you want what's best for them. You gotta have that genuine love, care, and concern for people to be able to see that.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's extremely surrounding yourself with people who also have that genuine care and concern for wanting the best for you, and being able to having at least one person in your tribal circle that can do that for you is something that every woman needs to have. And if you don't have it today, you need to find it, because it's necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah. Somebody who will allow you to be yourself and to be vulnerable and to be truthful about who you are. But now that you say that, when you are not approaching people with, your unpure intentions, if you don't have a motive, if you don't have an agenda when you are interacting with certain people, then you won't be able to see, past what they're presenting, because you're thinking about what it is that you want, what it is that you're trying to get from that person.
Right.
Definitely makes sense. Like your perspective would definitely be clouded if you are just looking to gain and not give when it comes to interacting with people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, like I was saying too, a lot of the pressure comes from expectations. Like you mentioned earlier, Shalia, we have all these roles that we play. Mom, business owner, whatever. So when other people are looking at us and they see all that we do, and that's where we get their love and their respect from, because they see us doing these many things, but they don't see us taking care of us. And we feel like we have to live up to those things in order to make these certain people happy, to please people, to take care of other people. But the whole time, like, we're just dying inside. We're not happy with the job that we do. We feel overwhelmed with everything that's on our plates, and we feel like we just have to keep going and keep pressing in order to please everyone else. But I think you guys asked earlier, like, where or when do we find that self-love? And it's when you hit rock bottom, unfortunately. That's when you start to
Yes.
look for something that'll make you whole. And it's not everything that you do, it's not everything that you're a part of, it's not everybody that you try to please. It's what, you have to really figure out, what is it that's going to heal me and help me get to a state to where I can operate and do all these things and do it from a healthy place.
Yeah, that is so true. And rock bottom is key, because I can tell you, I went to counseling for a good 4 years, or maybe a little more than that. And I didn't tell anybody I was going, to counseling. But what sent me there was I really had hit rock bottom. And I felt there was no one else that I could turn to with that piece of information. There was no one else that I could talk to and say, I've hit rock bottom, outside of seeing, a therapist that would understand, and I didn't feel like I was making myself, to talk about it. And as we talk about mental health, that I want every woman at the sound of my voice, whoever's listening, one man, child, whoever you are, counseling, therapy is a must. If you've hit rock bottom and you have nowhere else to turn, there is nothing wrong with you to go see a therapist and talk to someone. Just like you would go to the doctor because you broke your foot, or you would go see a specialist because you have, some allergy issues, or you get migraines. I get migraines, chronic migraines. Therapy is no different. And we have to, there's a stigma around it that we have to get past, especially in the African American community, that we are okay. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to talk to someone professionally to help you to learn how to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because if it wasn't necessary, those professions wouldn't even exist. Like, they are there for a reason. And even with that, I know you mentioned like hitting rock bottom. I know a lot of people, don't like to talk about suicide and having suicidal thoughts, but we have to remove the stigma from that as well, because thinking about death is the same as thinking about life. Life is a part of death and vice versa. So it's not anything that we have to, stigmatize people for just considering what it's like. Like I was telling someone that I was speaking with
Mm-hmm.
a few days ago, it's a way out. It's a coping mechanism. Just to even think about it and wonder about it doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you, a risk or a threat to yourself just because you have the thoughts. And if you act on the thoughts, then that's a different thing. But we have to kind of
Right.
take the step away from that so we can talk about it more freely. Because when I mentioned this to her, she felt better. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, death is a part of life. Yes, a life gets overwhelming sometimes, and that is a way out. But as long as you don't act on that, and if you are having those thoughts, feel free to reach out to somebody to talk about it. But we don't have to feel like
Right.
it's we're crazy or we shouldn't think about these things. It's just as normal as thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow. It's just a thought. It's a part of life.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that. And it reminds me of when I was in the military, and I was deployed. I remember having thoughts. I would never do anything for myself, but I remember laying in my dorm. We call dorm rooms in the military for those who are not military. I remember laying there to myself thinking, if I didn't have the relationship that I had with God at that time in my life, I see how people in the military, I see how there's a lot of the suicide rate is as high as it is, because you're placed in an environment where everything that you are accustomed to using as a de-stressor and a coping mechanism to, and you are put in pressures of military life, and you have nowhere to really turn to release that. And on top of that, being deployed and dealing with the military part of my job and the stresses that comes with that, there was also I had issues in marriage. I was having issues with my extended family, and I really was in a bad place. And I remember thinking, I understand why people commit suicide. I myself would not take that step at that point, but it resonated with me. I understood for the first time how someone could think it and possibly fall through and go through with it, given everything that I was experiencing at the time. So it's definitely not, it's not unnormal. It's normal at times in your life to think, some of us maybe, I would like to say all of us at some point maybe have thought about it, but there those of us never act on it. But the thought, absolutely can resonate in your mind. But if you're ever at the point where you're actually planning it out, you need to be talking to someone.
Absolutely. And it's not, like you said, as far-fetched as people try to make it seem. I think more than reported, people have thought about it, then have come forth and said and agreed. If we're in a group in a room and they ask you to raise your hand if you ever thought about it, a lot of people won't admit to it, just because of the stigma that's attached to it. But we are talking about self-love. So do you have any tips or advice to our viewers as to how to partake in such a thing? Like, how do we love ourselves?
Pause for the cause. Before you do that, we need to take a commercial break, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Your time is very precious. And wouldn't you agree that it's time to stop wasting it? Does this sound familiar? Are you not fulfilling your potential? Are you not reaching your goals? Are you not even setting your goals? Are you feeling unmotivated, feeling stuck, and you need accountability in your life? Searching for the right answer, the right solution can be difficult and lonely. You get vague information. You're pointed in the wrong direction. You receive bad advice. No one wants that. And there must be a better way. Well, there is. At All About One Leadership Consulting, we can help you. At All About One, we help individuals and organizations achieve their goals, get unstuck, and reach their potential. Contact us today.
Now, before the break, Isha asked a really powerful question. Let's go ahead and dive into that, Isha.
Yeah, so I was just, wanting to kind of expound on what does it look like to love yourself. I know we mentioned that we aren't taught that. It's not really mentioned to us. So now that we are getting to a point to where we are getting more into self, what advice do you have to the viewers, Shalia or Takara, that want to partake in this self-love? Like, what does that look like?
So for me, self-love is a lot of different things. It's a lot of different ways. We've talked a lot about kind of the mental state naturally, kind of how we view ourselves and healing those pain points that we may be, the baggage that we may be carrying around with us every day. But some of the other areas that's important to focus on is, like you said, just you taking care of yourself, whether that's, exercise, meditation, getting comfortable in being with you and just you. So I do a lot of meditation. It's important, and that just recently started that this year, and it has completely changed my life. I do meditate first thing in the morning, in the evenings, positive affirmations, and spending time, in the Word and talking to God and allowing God to talk to me, provides me with a sense of self-love. What that looks like for the next person, for you or Takara, of the women that are listening to this broadcast today, could be completely different. But whatever space that you find yourself that brings you the most joy and happiness, spend more time in it. Even if it's, if you have the time, I work with women to put systems in place so that they can find the time that they feel is impossible to find, working through being a wife, being a mom, and then all the different things that we have. We feel like there's just not enough hours in the day to focus on ourselves because we have to focus on everyone else. So I work with women to some systems so that they can find the hours, the minutes, the time that they can spend on themselves and whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's, going for a walk, It could be, getting a massage. It could be putting a puzzle together, painting a picture, whatever it is that brings you love and joy. All of that love. And the more time we spend in the space of taking care of ourselves, the better we feel and stronger that love muscle becomes. So finding even small pockets of time that you can spend with yourself is a small start.
I think a lot of times we hear a lot about affirmations and things of that nature. One of the things I realize when I'm working with clients, one of the hardest things for them to do is talk about themselves. Whether it's writing a bio, whether it's giving, I am statements, it's something that women typically struggle with because it's something typically that we're not asked. So you kind of like don't judge, and if you do, that's fine too. I really don't care. Like when someone says, "Hey, what's your phone number? I need your phone number to process this account." And have you ever been like, I don't call myself, so I don't know my number. It's kind of the same thing with I am statements for people. I don't spend time memorizing my I am statements. I don't know what that is. I've never been introduced to owning who I am. Never, what does that even look like? And I think sometimes when we talk about owning who you are, immediately people think about the good stuff. Hold on, sis. What about the bad stuff? What about the stuff that you get rid of? What about the stuff that's a crutch? What about the stuff that allows for you to operate in a negative way? What about the stuff that has put limiting beliefs on what you're able to do? What about that stuff there? So I think when we talk about self-love, we always talk about it in a positive standpoint, which it is. But in order to get to that positive, sometimes you got to do that digging to get to the negative. You have to be able to eliminate these things that you no longer want to be a part of your life so you can really, truly get to the root and love yourself authentically and stop toying around with self-love, just being a petty and a manicure. Self-love is way deeper than that. Self-love is how are you feeding your mental? What are you doing to feed your mind? This thing right here in between our ears is a computer. What are we doing to give it good data so we can have positive output? What we put in is what we put out. And a lot of people don't want to do the work to put good things in because they're so used to the dysfunction and not understanding that, dysfunction can help you get to a place of positivity if you choose to look at it from a different perspective. So self-love means that I need to reflect on me and do some work. Self-love means that I need to understand that, I can't love this man more than I love me. I can't love my shoe addiction more than I love me. I can't love my purse addiction more than I love me. I can't love swiping up on Facebook and looking at everybody else's life and comparing it to mine more than doing the work to get to a place to where I healthily fall in love with me. And I shouldn't even say fall in love, because if you fall in love, you can fall out of love. And I learned that 2 years ago. But one of the things that you really want to be intentional of is making the decision to love yourself. It's a decision. And that decision takes work. You have to be mindful of the words that you use while you're going through the process of understanding self-love. You have to stop using the word try. I was talking to somebody today. I'm trying. Stop using that word try. And I'm guilty of it. And when I hear it, it makes me cringe. So, really being mindful of the words that we're using to speak love to ourselves, understanding that we have a love language. Somebody else shouldn't come aside you and tell you what your love language is. You should be telling other people. So really understanding that before you can influence anybody else, you have to learn how to influence yourself. Speaking love to yourself. I forget the song.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there's a song that says encourage yourself.
I agree with you, Tara. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, from the standpoint of what I was talking, I was thinking a lot about self-care. And for like you said, a place where you can reflect, really do the reviews. Self-love is a part of self-care. So for me, sometimes you gotta take baby steps. You know, you take small steps to get big steps. And if you can learn how to self-care, take care of yourself, take the baby steps towards taking care of yourself, you will get to the journey, the deeper level of the self-love and dealing with that pain. So I absolutely agree with you, Takara, that you can't mask it. You cannot mask self-love with, pedicure and massages and those things. Thing part of self-care. In order for you to be able to love yourself, you got to be able to take care of yourself and do the work, as Takara said, to heal the pain and everything that you're carrying around that has you wear a mask and not take the mask off. If that's difficult for you to do in the moment, take the baby steps towards the self-care, because it's extremely important, but you got to be willing. You got to be willing to see the good, the ugly.
And
because
that's good.
before you can get to the true, right, get to the true, see the self-love in its fullness, you have to be able to see the good, the bad, and
I think the one thing that is really key with that is, some people automatically say the mani and the pedi is self-love, not saying that self-care is a form of self-love. And I think sometimes people get that intertwined, where if I'm getting a mani and pedi and I love myself. Yeah, you do, but there's more to that. There's more digging that is necessary in order for you to get to the next place. And I love what you said, and I've like I said, just being around different people and things of that nature has really even helped me to understand, how to even continue my self-love journey. And I was telling somebody not too long ago, me doing something different, even with my hair, is a form of self-love for me. Because I used to be in a place to where I couldn't stand wigs and weaves, or because of the negativity that was brought into my life when I was in an abusive relationship. So, even being able to love myself enough now to be able to embrace the different sides of me is it's beauty in itself. And understanding that even the words can't hold you back unless you make the decision to allow those words to hold you back. That alone is self-love. And so understanding the power of your words that you release over yourself. If you keep calling yourself fat, then you're gonna believe that. And what you're doing is you're building an invisible layer that you can't see, these invisible barriers, and you're wondering why you can't break through to a place of loving yourself. Is because you've spoken all these words that have created these barriers to when you're ready to break through, and you're having troubles breaking through because of the words not only that you've allowed for you to speak over yourself, but those who you called friend, sister, brother, mother, whoever who have also spoken over you. So now there's work. There's that challenge you have to be able to make up in your mind. And I talk about it all the time, and I'm guilty of it myself at times. When you go around like a merry-go-round, if you're going around and around and around. Now I think about the horse. Typically it's a horse that goes up and down, even though it's going around and around. It's not going anywhere. It's simply going up and down, but it's not making full momentum of actually breaking through the barrier. And we have to make the decision to break through our own self-barriers, either self-inflicted wounds that we caused or self-inflicted wounds that we accepted because of the words that have been spoken to us and around us. Even those that are in our subconscious that are, as you're doing the work, you're reminded of situations. I'm reminded of different things in my childhood that I thought that I forgot when I'm breaking through these barriers. And for me, I've been very intentional. God, remind me of the things that I don't remember. He revealed to me the things that I don't remember.
Yeah, and
I
there's a book called
intentional with this self-love healing journey, because what the one thing you don't want to do is take the Band-Aid off of a wound and treat it halfway and have to put the Band-Aid back on because you're not ready for the pain or the sting of the peroxide or the alcohol or whatever's needed to clean that wound. So when you open yourself up for this journey, understand that it's just that, a journey, and be patient with yourself as you're on it. Rome wasn't built overnight. Neither is your self-love journey, nor your mental health capacity, because of the things that we've gone through. And I'm going to say this, the more you've gone through, sometimes the more work you have to do. And it's okay. Don't look at work as such a negative word.
Yes.
Look at work as I'm making the conscious decision to be all that I've been created to be. And so, I don't know, y'all. I'm rambling, I feel. But I'm going to say this. Getting ready to hit another.
I just wanted to say, before we have to go, I just wanted to say, speaking to the whole language that we speak to, there's this book called Language, and it's by, I got it here, it's by Greg Braden, and it's awesome. It speaks to exactly to that, how the words that you speak to yourself and what you say to yourself resonates, and you actually train your mind to believe things about yourself, and it's subconscious by the language that you use. And it's important not to use that, but also to touch on the fact that self-love, you keep saying it's a journey. You absolutely, love is an action verb, including yourself. Self-love is a journey. It's not a destination. So it's going to be something that you are growing with and through as long as you breathe. And if you can see it as a journey, and it's a one foot in front of the other, going to continuously grow, and that love, will grow within yourself, and you will build again that muscle through of self-love. But Conscious Language is an awesome book to deal with the way that we talk to ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, this has been another episode of Vault Talks Will and Share. It's been super powerful. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in live. Thanks for those of you who may be catching us on the replay, maybe on our YouTube channel, Facebook, or either BBC TV, wherever you're catching us. Thank you so much. We appreciate the love, the support, and we pray that something that was said tonight activates something in you to really continue to shove you into the journey of really diving deeper than where you already are with your self-love journey. With that being said, make sure you tune in next week. Vault Talks Women Share. We're going to be in the month of June, which is so crazy. It seems like we were just saying Happy New Year to one another, and here we are going into another month, halfway through the year. So tune in as we talk about some really great discussions around even just understanding where you are and where you're going. That's what we talk about all the time on the show. And so we're really thankful and grateful to have you guys a part of Vault Talks, and we are out. Much love. Mwah.
Women share to be bold and take risks. Vault Talks. Women say what they feel and mean what
A moment there.
I think it was a really long
Believe in
week
your
this week.
power, so much power. Yeah. Vault Talks, where